said, give me the negatives. What are they saying is negative about these things? Vitamin D, cod liver oil, things that, let's talk about the positivity, bone density, strength, connective tissue, recovery, a stronger immune system.
Even mood and stuff, right? Back then, supplements were stuff that were going to make me muscles, right?
Jeff and I have been really diving into when he gets to work. Jeff, for everybody that's here, is the co-host. And what he did this morning when we got in is I gave him I give him a little homework every morning. And this morning's homework was pros and cons of cod liver oil and the pros and cons of vitamin D. And I said, find out all the side effects and negativity from cod liver oil or from vitamin D. And so that was just today's. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I think, Todd, you could understand this, and I hope everybody else does. I said, give me the negatives. What are they saying is negative about these things? Vitamin D, cod liver oil, things that we should all be taking in on a daily basis. Vitamin D, very basic. So the side effects was so, I guess, snowflake mentality, upset stomach, some nauseous or something if you have it on an empty stomach. Just little details that is like, okay, so I didn't hear any side effects. And it's just a basic nutrients like you talked about, vitamin D, that we all should have, because not only on the other side of this, the side effects, let's talk about the positivity, bone density, strength, connective tissue, recovery, a stronger immune system.
There's even mood and stuff, right? Mood, mental clarity. There's a bunch of different things, because a lot of people, if you look at when you go and you get a panel or whatever, the number one thing or one of the top things is vitamin D deficiency in a lot of people, right?
And I am not a sun guy, so that's a very, very important one for me.
Like when I tell people how much vitamin D I take, even like with Deb, I give Deb on a daily basis, like 20,000 like a lot, right?
Yeah, okay. Now, you know what this says on the internet? What is toxic?
Too much?
Over 400.
Yeah. So you know what? So during
which again, hold on. I want to say this before everybody starts going, well, geez, that's too much. No, it just kind of clarifies what they try to set you up and what they try to give you, because it also comes back later on and goes, well, nobody's ever been sick from it. So it's like, wait a minute, hold on. You just said, and so one pill is 10,000 IUs?
Yeah. So it depends on what you get. So I basically give Deb, like,
stay with me. Yeah. It just shows you what the media and what the internet says.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. I take 2 a day, and I have.
So right now I take basically between 20 to 30,000 every single day. And if I feel I'm getting sick, I tell people right away, bump it up to 80,000. Okay. I give my kids 80,000. If Christian's going, he's feeling like he's getting sick, I'm going to bump him up to 80,000. So for during COVID before, I had what I called COVID cocktail, right? It was 80,000 they were basically taking for 4 days and a bunch of other stuff. But again, that's going to be almost like a reset. And there's a bunch of other things that I keep a lot higher dosage as well. I keep a standard, I'll call it par. But again,
I don't want you to go too deep into it if you don't know, but can you talk about when somebody puts that out, like the study that we did, we understand that is for an average human. A male is 5'9" average, 170 pounds. Where I'm a 6'3", 300-pound man. So the average goes off of what I guess the FDA would say, this is what the average person should take, and this is the amount. You're a huge human. People don't know this, but you're a big, big person. So again, you doing this, and then your wife, on the other hand, is very active.
Yeah, so I'll give you though, Deb. Like Deb, for instance, never took vitamins until her 40s.
Like Mona, huh?
Yeah, well, Mona's a different beast. So Mona's bred differently. So, but from the standpoint of like Deb, right? But once I started giving her the same regimen that I give myself, just on a little bit tiered less, not a whole lot less, right? The benefits that she saw and the differences of how she would feel potentially prior, like sick sometimes, she had totally different, right? And so again, night and day difference, but also just in her, like she says, even in her like skin tone, okay, like pigmentation, like again, how she mentally, cognitive abilities and stuff, because she was deficient in different things that necessarily should just be a standard, right? So even if like with Ryder, probably 400 IU on like whatever is less than, and it's funny, Mike, because I buy him these damn kids vitamins and it's like 5 micrograms. I'm like, it's not even friggin' enough to do anything, but that damn bottle is $40. Okay. It's stupid. And again, these setting standards to me on the FDA and stuff, I have a hard time with a lot of that, especially as you saw different stuff being pushed through in different ways. And it's, again, a lot of that is all about money and about opinions and stuff, right? So
how do we teach
to me, I
people
like
that
to take
today?
like a panel and then build off that panel. What is the panel in your blood? So I tell people all the time, they're like, what diet works? What supplementation? Have you went and got your blood work done? Because if you don't have that, you're building from nothing, right? So again, I could tell you lots of different things, but unless you understand what's under the hood, it doesn't matter, right? You need a foundation and then build the foundation from there. And then through trial and error and adding in different things. And again, I'm always learning, right? So I've added a lot of different supplements over time. And hey, maybe some work and I might take some in, I might add some new ones in, but I still have that baseline, I think. So for me, the micros is one of the most important things. And people also that are trying to lose weight or gain weight, but especially just lose, right? Or be healthy. And for me, it's about longevity. So I'm looking at now what I can put in my body that's going to allow me to have that longevity, right? And we can get into a whole nother conversation on connective tissue and other things as well. But again, I think a lot of people, if they just started supplementing with even baseline different things, they would see a difference in their ability to be consistent on weight gains, weight loss, etc. So
let's jump back real quick to what would you tell your young self about supplementation and the minerals? What would you tell your young self?
Yeah, so I think if I looked way back, I think one of the biggest things I would say is back then supplements were stuff that were going to make me muscles, right? And it was like a defined definition. Under supplementation, I now have a whole nother, I'll call it, section of that health food store, right? It's everything but the crappy creatine, and not crappy creatine, but the things that are supposed to be the magic stuff to get you big and jacked, right? I would look at, man, I wish I had gone back and built a foundation before, because I think I would have been a lot farther, not necessarily ahead, but maybe like different, I don't know, not some of the aches and pains that I have today, right? Just based on if I had been taking things earlier on, and maybe I wouldn't have even like, if I had been properly supplementing with minerals and micros back when I got mono, right? I might not have been in that same situation. And I think, again, some of those things today that I didn't have back then, I do for my kids and make sure that they have supplementation. I know this is a big part for you and Titan as well, right? And again, going back to talking about what you guys fed them as far as whole food and like in protein wise and different things as well. That's a whole other conversation for kids, but that's I think one of the biggest things, because supplementation for me back then was, hey, pre-workout protein powder, like post-workout carbogen or whatever it was, right? And the creatine and I don't know, liver pills and stuff back then. But that was like,
remember those?
Yeah, you smelled real good. So, but that was, I think, the biggest thing. If I'd gone back, I wish I had that educated mind of looking at, or I wish I had someone told me, because all the people that I would be, I'll call it mentored by in the health and fitness space were more on a lot of those guys were taking gear, right? And it's a lot different when you're not. So
just for anybody out there, it's just remember, a lot of the stuff that you hear or heard when you were a kid is the same stuff we heard. Like when I was a kid, they're like, oh, bypass the vitamins. They don't do anything for you. Skip this, just do the food or do the gear or whatever it is. It's like, I'm glad that young Mike continued to go, if this gives me 1 more percent, taking vitamin C, having my D vitamins, having a multivitamin, having my glutamine. If this gives me 1% more to get better, I'm staying with it. And I'm glad that I could spend my money on that and on food relative to the parties and playing around or trying other things. So that's something I still think that is, I'm glad that I did.
Yeah, there's a lot of things as well, I think, like that I learned, I wish I'd known back then, like to take part when you're taking normal supplements and stuff and caffeine and all that, like on your adrenal glands, right? So I've taken stuff like, I had adrenal fatigue. I had no clue what that was. I didn't know that was a word and stuff. And apparently there's like whatever, level 1, 2, 3. And I was like a level 6. It's like, I don't even know how you're like sort of working.
I believe this though.
But when I started taking Adrenalplex and ashwagandha and some other things, right, that people don't think about, you feel totally different. It's a total different reset, right? And then also going at like looking at, I think a lot of people walk around probably not feeling real good. And I would say I take an estimated I don't know, somewhat educated guess that a lot of people probably have some form of a fatty liver and stuff that they don't even know, right? And it's not necessarily just from a drinking standpoint, but how that impacts everything else, or gut health, that's a whole nother discussion, right? But a lot of people's probably, I don't know, complexion issues and how they feel and stuff is from what's going on in their gut. And that comes in from what you're eating, right?
Yeah.
But again, I still take a lot of like the enzymes and like stuff like that for my gut, and I make sure that's in Rider and stuff, right? So even going back to even, I got like 21, 17, and 6. So the 6-year-old's getting the benefit of what I've learned, right? The sort of the 21 and 17-year-old, I'm trying to not make up for it, but if I had known back then, I would have had them on a different, I'll call it supplement or microvitamin regime as well, right? So I think a lot of the things, when it's the same thing as a car, if you hear a noise, it doesn't necessarily mean it's always like your oil filter or whatever, right? It's probably a lot of different things, but it's probably centralized from your gut or from something else that's causing, like, I don't know, an ache in your legs, probably from your gut or something. It's not necessarily just because you did something to it.
So real quick, I want these guys to understand too the importance of, we got the importance of supplementation or the micronutrients that is beneficial. Again, anything to keep you from the inside out healthy is the greatest thing. Then we got the discussion on nutrition or foods and the hype words on trying to make you believe one thing over another. Foods are good. I think, again, if you got the money to buy whatever you want, I'm fine with that. I always worry about how I grew up and I didn't have the money, and that I don't want them to think that you have to get the hype words. I disagree with that. And then the last thing I want to talk about is something that I think is really important. Time management, preparing food, getting food, and making sure the food is always freaking there, and you got your meals. And we're seeing that right now with Serge, always is prepared now that he comes over here, and it's a cool thing to see. And so for everybody out there, the reason why I like prepared meals, prepped, all the proteins and everything there, instead of me doing it all the time, like with Icon, it's there. I never have to cheat because I'm always on a program. So let's say you're not always on a program. At least you got healthy food there that you don't need to go, I don't feel like cooking here. I don't want to go out and let's order something in half an hour. We got some salmon right here in the fridge. It's already made. It's already ready. It's got some rice with it. Let's heat that up. Let's eat. Can we talk about how important it is to have it already prepped, already there? And then on top of that too, the money you save. I don't know why people think it's, I save more money with Icon than I did ever shopping at Whole Foods all week long. It's a crazy difference on savings. And people, I think there's a small percentage of people that still think that it's an expensive thing. Can you explain those?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that our society today is we all live busy lives, right? And whether it's, I don't know, taking our kids to karate, jiu-jitsu, whatever, and coming home after work or whatever, the biggest thing is I think it's the element of convenience that prepped meals provide from a trusted source, right? So if you can have that and you don't have to think about taking time to shop, to prepare, to have that, you can just pull it in and it's ready within 1 to 3 minutes. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is being able to focus on, I'll call it your zone of genius or whatever you have to do as a dad, a mom, an entrepreneur, or whatever, and allowing that partner to sort of have your stuff ready for you, right? So you can keep doing what you're doing and just go along the way. I think the other thing is with the money thing, I just have to laugh because it's, again, it's the same thing as like I said, on the vitamins, right? Spending the money. If there's always going to be the people out there that are going to argue with you that, hey, it's 20 cents difference or this or that, right? But again, it's not. If you look at your time that you're taking out of your day, okay? Even if you're shopping now, the argument is, oh, I can order it online and comes to me and I still have to prepare it. Great. Okay. I'm not here to argue with you, right? It's the point though of,
you can't argue with those people.
Yeah. And again, though, I think like from the standpoint, whether it's 20 cents more savings, again, whatever it is you're preparing, it's, to me, there's a significant amount of time that I get back and a lot of other people get back right from that meal, being able to have that meal ready for me. So I don't have to, like, my biggest thing is if I'm hungry and I'm driving somewhere, I go friggin' stop and get a damn bar or do something stupid because I don't have a meal ready, right? But if I have ordered my food and I have it for my week,
they miss that part though. They miss that.
Yeah.
They don't think about that little. It's here. It's already here, ready to go, and it's easy. I know, but
I guarantee, like, okay, let's say that a lot of these people are going to be going, I don't know, they're going out in the boat, right? I guarantee that they've prepared and have ready their cooler, and it has beer and it has different things in it, right? But one of the other things is the meals, and that's okay. Now we're going to stop somewhere, and I think like that's a part that people miss.